This is Boxing Tickets and we are outside the SSE Arena. What a wonder day, and we're delighted to be joined with Conor Quinn. How are you, Conor?
Good. How are you, Money?
It's a day me and you don't like. You know, obviously we're both pale skin and the sun's shining. We're sort of trying to have to hide away from the sun. Unfortunately, you're the one that has the sun in your face. But there's a reason we're obviously outside the SSE Arena, which we're going to cut on to in a minute or two. But I guess the best place to start, obviously, Anto Cacace. A week ago, Anto Cacace became the IBF king. Like, I'm still in the buzz from it a week on. Tell me obviously what it feels like for you. Obviously, they see a fellow West Belfast man obviously become the IBF king. What a night it was for Belfast boxing and Irish boxing in general.
Yeah, unbelievable. You know, like you say, is there a fellow West Belfast man and a fellow Queensbury fighter as well now, and you know, just to see him go and lift the title in the way in which he did. I was watching the fight last weekend, and I watched him doing a bit of sparring with Colm Murphy up in Mark's gym, and from that day on I sort of thought, like, I didn't really see how Cordina would be able to beat him, and obviously I thought personally Cordina was the best in the division up until that point, but I really genuinely did believe Anto was going to win, and for him to go and get the belt in the way in which he did, and obviously he was already IBO world champion, now he's IBF world champion, and you know, it's unbelievable, you know, and it's so good for the likes of myself coming up and all the other fighters, because for a while there I think there was a wee bit of a stigma with the Irish fighters as they were getting to a certain level, but then when they're going away to fighting champions abroad or anything like that, it was sort of almost as if they were just going to make up the numbers, and although they weren't, that's the perception the public had, and those just went and proved there by, like I say, beating the best in the division and absolutely wiping them out. That, you know, we're not just here to make up the numbers anymore, we're here to go and become the best in the world.
I think it was 10 straight defeats in world title fights. Obviously, just over 5 years past, and TJ Dehaney last held it. 2018, since Ryan Burnett obviously last held the belt as well. Like, so, I guess the good thing for that is, as you know, with obviously boxing, sometimes someone goes and does it, and someone else quickly follows. Like with Fergal McCrory, and obviously a world title fight in less than 5 weeks' time. Like, by the end of June, we could have 2 world champions from having none for 5 years.
Yeah, that's it, 100%. And even for the likes of Anto, like, what I think was so special about it is, although he's obviously from Town, he's from West Belfast, but he's based here as well, and to see Mickey Hawkins Senior and Junior in the corner and the rest of his team, I just thought it was absolutely amazing. It's, like I said, it just sort of shines a light on the fact that these things are possible, and if you put the work in and you have the right team behind you and you have the right sort of back in with promoters and managers and stuff like that, you can go all the way. And at the end of the day, 2 people's getting in the ring, they're both going to have a fight and someone's going to win. And Anto just showed there that it doesn't matter how big of a name someone has or how good they are or how many wins they've had on the bounce or world titles or whatever. He went in and fought his heart out, and he absolutely ripped the belt from Cordina.
You've obviously your own dreams and aspirations of what you want to do. Like, seeing Anto do that last week, does that sort of visualise you more now that we know the tough times he's been through, like 8 fights in 7 years, always had the potential, always had the pedigree, but just never got the opportunity? What does that do to you now? Does that obviously make your beliefs now? Obviously you're with Queensbury as well and promoted by Frank Warren. Does that make it seem real to you that you know it's only a matter of time before you're obviously lifting the world title above your waist?
Yeah, it does, 100%. Like I says, like, I've always thought that Ireland and Belfast especially has the talent and the fighters are to go and win these world titles, but for a while, like you says, 10 world title fights in a row, losses, and it was just sort of like everyone was getting to that level, but they were just falling short, and Anto's just went and proved that we have the level of fighter here in Belfast to go and do that. And for the likes of myself on the way up, it gives you that bit more confidence to say, like, you're seeing people do it right in front of you firsthand, seeing these guys in the gym sparring and training, and then you're going to seeing them lifting the world title in the big nights like that. So it just sort of it boosts your confidence that wee bit extra. But in fairness though, it doesn't, I feel like saying that there, it's sort of taken away from the level of talent and level of fighter that Anto Cacace is, because I always remember, even as a kid growing up, there was a guy in our gym, Clonard Boxing Club, Ian Finnegan, who was a cracking fighter. He fought them all as well, and he always used to say to me, like, I used to take a bit of advice from him because he was a wee bit older and he'd been at the top level and stuff, and he used to always tell me about Anto Cacace. He would always say, like, if you're going to study any fighter, study him. And would go on about how naturally talented he was and how good he was, and if he got his opportunity he would take it. And it just sort of, it shows that everything everyone was saying about him was true, because once he did get the opportunity he took it with both hands. But like I said, I don't want to discredit his ability and the level that he is in any way, but it does definitely give the likes of myself that wee bit of a boost to say, like, look at the hard times that he's had, and like you say, as the fight's fallen through, and probably many times in his career where he was thinking, is it the right thing to do to pursue this, or I'm going to have to maybe go a different route, and he stuck at it and he got what he wanted.
The reason we're obviously outside the SSE Arena, you're back. Obviously, you're making your first. You're having your first fight under Queensbury here on the 28th of June. You're sort of ticking off one of the. I sort of saying to Mark earlier, you're ticking off one of the boxes that obviously you had. You're going to be fighting Conor Quinn for the Commonwealth flyweight title. Like, tell me obviously how you're feeling. Like, I know you boxed here. It's pretty much nearly a year to the day since you last boxed here on a TNT card as well. So, like, how are you feeling now? Like, from the days of you being a young kid, sort of coming here and watching, your Framptons, your Burnett's, and going even further back. Like, how are you feeling now? Do you know that your name's going to be in the bright lights here in the SSE?
Delighted, absolutely delighted. Like, the SSE Arena for me is the home of boxing in Ireland. As a kid growing up, I would have came here to watch Martin Rogan, and I actually came to watch D Walsh, my coach, and then obviously as time went on, I was coming to watch Carl Frampton and Jamie Conlon and Ryan Burnett and all these guys on the way up, and it was always a dream of mine to fight here, and I've done that twice now. Like you say, a year ago today was the press conference for the TNT show. It actually come up in my memories, but to be sitting here now saying that you're going to co-headline a show here and you're fighting for the Commonwealth title in a real 50-50 fight against another great fighter, undefeated fighter, it's amazing. It's what I've always dreamed of as a boxer coming up. Everyone had their own dreams and aspirations, but for me personally, it would always have been the box here in Belfast and the home of boxing, and to be main event or co-main event on one of the cards, and to be doing that in only my 11th fight as a pro, 10th or 11th fight, it's unbelievable, and I'm just absolutely delighted.
Is it sort of pushing your mind back? Do you sitting in the crowd sort of watching these fights when you're sort of going, one day I'm going to be in there, like, they now obviously you've already fought there previously, but they sort of visualise it back, and does your dreams and stuff, like what you're saying, I want to be Commonwealth, I want to be British, I want to be European, I want to be world champion. Does this just harbour back to you at the fact that these dreams that you've made are all starting to come true for you?
Yes, 100%. That's exactly what it does. Even like my last couple of fights that I had in the SSE, I remember after the fight coming up to Jessica and sitting with her watching the rest of the fights, and it's actually lapsing in concentration and thinking to myself, God, I'd love to fight here one day, and you'd already done it. It's just, I just absolutely love boxing in the SSE Arena, and like I said, to be sort of really high up the bill now and see your name in the bright lights, and obviously once the show's announced and everything sort of, everyone knows about it and things like that, and people's going to start speaking about it and gets the buzz around the city, it's absolutely unbelievable, and like, for me as a fighter, as a kid, I always wanted to be a professional fighter, but from very, very early on, I sort of understood that professional boxing was a lot different to amateur boxing. Obviously the business side of things and stuff like that, and obviously in the amateurs you enter a competition, you fight who's in front of you and you win it and you're the champion, whereas obviously as a professional, I always knew I had the talent and the work ethic to go far in the sport, but you were always that wee bit worried, are you going to have someone fight in your corner in terms of a manager, and you're going to have the backing of the big promoters, and that's exactly what I've got now, and Mark and Queensbury, and it's straight away, like, it's my first fight with Queensbury, and here we are standing outside the SSE Arena. So realistically, I feel like now the ball's in my court, and everything that I want to do in the sport, it's all there for me to do now. I just have to go and get the results.
Like, it's a big platform as well. Obviously TNT, obviously, they've only they've taken over from BT sort of about a year or so. Like, I was saying they obviously colm as well, who obviously is going to be on the card. Obviously Carl Frampton obviously commenting on your fights and stuff like that as well. Like, I know you came short previously from being on the TV here the last time, and obviously it's supposed to be a title. Like, obviously that heartbreak you sort of went through from going as a title fight, it's going to be in TNT Sports, where it's now actually coming through a year later sort of thing. So, like, it still pinch me moments, and probably if you didn't pinch yourself, these dreams wouldn't be coming true.
Yeah, definitely. Like, It's strange because when I think back to all that, it feels like it was only yesterday, and then now obviously everything sort of changed. You know, I'm signed to Queensbury and co-headlining the show, and you know that mine's going to be one of the fights that everyone's talking about, especially around Belfast, the Commonwealth title and things like that. So it shows you just how quickly things can change as well, because obviously the last time I was boxing on a show here, you're sort of at the start you're hoping you get on the show. You don't even know if you're going to get on. Is there going to be a slot there for me? And then obviously things are all up in the air. It's a title fight, it's not a title fight. You're on TV, you're not on TV. Whereas look at it now, you know, it's completely different. And like I said, you've got the backing of Mark and Queensbury and TNT behind you now, and Frampton obviously going to be commentating on the fight, which is, you know, very, very good for me as well, because obviously he played a big part in me signing with Queensbury. So it's sort of like a full circle moment for me in a way of everything sort of led to this moment. And to be honest, I just feel on top of the world, and I don't feel like any flyweight in the world could beat me at the minute, and you know, I'm really, really happy.
You love obviously Frampton, obviously take the approach he's had with Cacace. Obviously he spoke of him for years, and look, his antics obviously during the fight and obviously afterwards, that's the sort of guy you want behind you, and he's already been pushing you to get signed with Queensbury. So like, you know that obviously Frampton's going to have these moments where he's going to tell every man and his dog Conor Quinn's the next big thing to come out of Belfast, and that's exactly what you want.
Yeah, definitely, and I think it just sort of shows, you know, how good of a lad Carl is, and you know, obviously he's been here and done it all, and you know, he's created history in Irish boxing and world boxing as well. And you know, for someone like that to still be supporting the grassroots of boxing, it's unbelievable. You know, he could be away now, doesn't even have to look at a boxing ring ever again, and just enjoy his life and do whatever he wants to do. But you know, obviously, like you said, he's going to be commentating on the fights, and the video of him commentating on Cacace's fight, that was unbelievable. You know, I don't think there's anyone in Belfast wouldn't watch that with a smile on their face. And
right, tears.
Yeah, tears, I know. But you know what I mean, it just shows, like, and you wouldn't get that anywhere else, I don't think. Like, obviously in England and stuff, they come across champions day in, day out. They've got that many fighters, and they've got the big promoters backing them from day one because all the shows are over there. But you know, they're used to seeing people lift titles and lose titles, and another one comes through. Was here in Belfast, we don't get that. So it's great to see that when someone is coming through, everyone's behind them, and rightly so.
You're obviously going to become a bigger role model now. Like, obviously this card's sort of like a next gen sort of type card. Obviously Pierce O'Leary, obviously Colm Murphy obviously is your stablemate. You've obviously James McGivern on the card as well, Owen Lavin, Stephen Cairns, and then a couple of English ones. So for all the fans that's sort of coming here, like, you're probably going to sell more tickets than you've ever done before, but people's going to be looking at your autograph, people's going to be looking at more pictures, people's going to be wanting to buy more tickets. So in some ways, effectively, you're switching your role straight away, where you're becoming the biggest attention, the biggest sort of draw on the card. So like, it's sort of going to feel unrealistic sort of to you in a way, the fact that, well, not unrealistic, unreal sort of, in the fact that everybody's going to be your front and centre attention, you know, of obviously the Belfast fighters. You're the sort of the highest profile sort of one coming through here, but it's up to you to deliver now, and obviously show that this next breed coming through have to be supported.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I feel like you say, obviously you're going to sell a lot more tickets, you're going to have a lot more people coming to watch you and stuff like that. And with that obviously comes the responsibility of, you want to put on a good show for everyone, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. And in terms of a role model and stuff like that, obviously any kids wanting to get into boxing and stuff, I would love them to look up to the likes of myself and Pierce and Colm and everyone else, because I think we are good role models. Because realistically, you know, you've started from the bottom, you've tried to make your way up, and we all put the work in, you know. We're all decent lads, and I think that's why people are getting behind us, you know. So yeah, like you said, it's gonna be sort of like a change in career for me personally. I think of, you know, you're going to be coming in here and you're going to be fighting, leaving as Commonwealth champion, and with thousands of people behind you.
Just over 25 years since the last Commonwealth flyweight champion from here, Damien Kelly. Like, in some ways, you know, like, it's 25 years since, you know, and Belfast always had really good sort of wee men, sort of, so to speak, but 25 years since the last Commonwealth champion here, so they'd be passing the torch from Damien Kelly to yourself. It'd be a privilege for you.
Definitely, absolute privilege, you know. And even when me and Mark went over to London to meet with Frank Warren and Andy Eileen and stuff in Queensbury, we were speaking about that in the room, and we were talking, and we were saying, like, in England, flyweights obviously you've got Sonny Edward and you've got Galal and stuff now, but for a long time there it wasn't really the weight that people were looking at and saying, oh, I want to see these guys fight, or they weren't really getting behind them, whereas Belfast is the complete opposite. Like you say, there are obviously Damien Kelly and Hugh Russell, who's a real role model of mine, and you've got all these guys coming through. Flyweights is one of the divisions in Belfast people think about and people remember, so like you says, to be maybe passing the torch to me now, it's an absolute privilege, and I can't wait.
What do you obviously make of us? Your opponent, Conor Quinn, obviously he's a really good amateur. He's 10-0 with one stoppage. What do you sort of make? Like, do you watch a lot of footage of your fighters, or is it more down to like Mark? Is it more down to Queensbury and D sort of looking into that? Like, do you really study them, so to speak, or do you just sort of? I guess sometimes you just have to see what they're like in the ring, because you can be persuaded in a different way the sort of fighter they are from watching footage to actually being in there with them.
Yeah, no, I do. I take a look, like if something's there, and there is a few things on Conor Quinn, and I've had a look at a couple and then just let D do the rest. But he seems a good fighter. Like you said, he was a good amateur. He's undefeated now as a pro. He's English champion, so he's earned his right to be here too. So it's going to be a great fight. And from what I've seen of him, he's a real good sort of stylish boxer. And that's sort of the type of fights that I've been asking for a while now. When I was speaking with Mark and he was speaking with Queensbury about the show and stuff, and there was a couple of names mentioned, and Conor Quinn, that was the name that sort of made me perk up a wee bit more, because I think he was ranked one below me in the rankings, and above me it's only Galal and Sonny Edwards, so I thought, why not? This is the next best fight. And like I said, he deserves to be here. He's obviously English champion, I'm Celtic champion, both undefeated, both had good amateur backgrounds, and I think that personally that's the makings for a great fight.
I guess when you're started looking at that bucket list, and you've said to me many times, it's Commonwealth, British, European, world honours, like you'll not sort of have to nearly look too far. Then again, the next one of British, then the next one of European could potentially be in one fight, because obviously the holder of them two belts is obviously Jay Harris. Obviously, I guess you probably like to thank Jay as well for obviously vacating the Commonwealth title. He could obviously have held on to everything, and you could have sort of been going, may have to go down to one of the continental belts sort of some degrees in that way. So I guess you obviously have to thank Jay for vacating the belt for you.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously Jay had all three belts, and I didn't know what was going to go on or speaking. I was letting Mark obviously talk with Queensbury and stuff, and at the time I think there was like a continental belt on the line or something else, and absolutely brilliant titles to win, and I would be honoured to win any title. But for me personally, I just thought this type of fight, Conor Quinn from England, obviously I'm from Ireland and we're both undefeated, I just sort of thought British, Commonwealth or European would be more sort of reasonable for this type of fight. And obviously with the continental titles and stuff, you could fight anyone around the world, so I think that was Mark's thinking too, and obviously we wanted one of the major titles and we've got it. So yeah, like you say, you have to be thankful to Jay, because he could have held on to it. There was no mandatories called or anything like that, so he could have held on to the belts and made his move first and seen what he wanted to do. But thankfully he's vacated the Commonwealth, and me and Conor Quinn was going to box for it. And then all being well, I don't like to look past anyone or look past any fight, but I just want to pick up the titles along the way. So have a good night on the 28th of June, win the Commonwealth title, and then just push on then after that.
Another holiday plan then?
Another holiday planned, hopefully.
You don't need holidays now, obviously, with the sun shining in Belfast. Obviously there's no place better sometimes, so maybe this might be one. I know you don't drink or anything like that, so you and Jessica obviously get away in the sun whenever you can, but when the sun's shining, I guess you might as well stay at home.
I don't know. I think it's always good to get away and experience something new, isn't it?
Obviously, just touching before we finish off, obviously touching on, I guess Riyadh sort of becoming the big thing now. Like, I know when we spoke the last time, you were jumping at the bit to sort of get out there, I guess, when you're seeing there's big money and everything else. Like, yes, it's all right to get these belts, but the money's obviously a big benefactor to it as well. Like, you would obviously maybe like to get out to Riyadh maybe at some stage as well, with Queensbury having a good connection with them as well. Like, you never know, you could be fighting in Riyadh before the end of this year.
Yeah, I would love it. I would absolutely love it. Obviously, like you say, it's the big shows in Riyadh, and I like to experience new things. Like I just says there, I like to experience new cultures and different sort of fight weeks and stuff like that. And I've obviously fought in Brisbane, I've fought in Thailand, and I've fought in every arena in Belfast at the moment. So yeah, I would absolutely love it. And obviously you just sort of have to get that call up, don't you? But like I says in a couple of other interviews, I would be down to fight anyone, anywhere. So if a fight was to come up in Riyadh, and especially with Anto going out and representing us so well, I think it would be brilliant.
But listen, thanks very much for your time. Obviously enjoy your next couple of weeks at camp, and we'll no doubt catch up with you here in fight week in Belfast.
Yes, thank you very much, Monty. Thank you.
Cheers, Conor. Thank you.